Record electricity demand from China's heatwave is testing northern power grids that supply millions of homes and factories. This is Omni View, episode 134. Northern China's power grids recorded peak demand as a heatwave raised temperatures across the region. The surge comes from widespread use of air conditioning in homes, offices, and factories. Grid operators are managing the load to avoid disruptions. Transmission lines serving provinces with large industrial bases carried the highest volumes observed in recent periods. Dispatch centers adjusted generation schedules in real time to match the rising consumption. Reuters reports the strain on infrastructure that serves densely populated provinces. Chinese state media have described the grids as stable under pressure, pointing to prior investments in transmission lines. International energy analysts note that similar heat-driven peaks have occurred in other large economies during summer months. The shared facts are the temperature spike and the demand records. The difference lies in emphasis on system resilience versus the risks of sustained extremes. Grid data released by operators show hourly load curves climbing steadily through the afternoon hours. Shifting now to Cuba. Cuba experienced another widespread power outage, the fourth in recent weeks. Residents in the capital reported difficulty cooking, refrigerating food, and sleeping without electricity. The repeated failures have compounded existing strains on daily life. Families described moving perishable items to shared coolers and relying on candles after sunset. The outage followed a collapse on the preceding Sunday. Reuters describes families coping with repeated interruptions to essential services. Cuban authorities have attributed the collapses to aging equipment and fuel shortages. Independent observers have highlighted the cumulative effect on an already fragile system. The undisputed element is the sequence of outages. Interpretations differ on the speed of any repair timeline. Local reports indicate that some neighborhoods regained partial service within hours, while others remained without power longer. Next, a rescue in the English Channel. A vessel carrying migrants caught fire while attempting to cross the English Channel. Rescue teams brought more than 150 people to safety. The incident occurred amid ongoing efforts to monitor small boat crossings. Coast Guard vessels from both sides of the waterway responded to the emergency. All individuals were transferred to shore facilities for medical checks. BBC reporting focuses on the immediate rescue operation and the conditions that led to the fire. French and British authorities have coordinated responses in previous similar events. Humanitarian organizations stress the dangers of the route. The facts of the rescue are clear. Views differ on the most effective long-term measures to reduce crossings. The vessel was located after distress signals were received during daylight hours. Meanwhile, shipping continues through a key waterway. Shipping movements persisted through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway linking the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. The route carries a significant share of global oil and liquefied natural gas supplies. Monitoring continues amid regional tensions. Commercial tankers maintained regular schedules through the day. Satellite tracking confirms steady passage in both directions. Reuters tracking shows steady commercial traffic despite periodic concerns. Energy importers in Asia rely on uninterrupted passage. Gulf states have emphasized the importance of open sea lanes for their exports. The volume of traffic is documented. Assessments of future risk vary by source. Daily transit counts remained within normal ranges for the season. Turning to business developments. The chief executive of Novo Nordisk stated that recent setbacks require quicker research and possible acquisitions. Investors have expressed worry about the company's future drug pipeline. The comments followed an earlier upward revision in outlook that later faced scrutiny. The executive outlined plans to accelerate internal programs and evaluate external opportunities. Market reaction included adjustments to share valuations during the session. Reuters covered the executive's remarks during an investor call. Company statements highlight ongoing development programs. Market participants have adjusted expectations based on the updated information. The sequence of announcements and reactions is on record. Analysts present at the call noted the emphasis on both organic and inorganic growth paths. In technology adoption, A growing number of small American firms are adopting artificial intelligence applications for routine tasks. The trend appears in sectors such as retail, services, and light manufacturing. Adoption rates vary by region and business size. Owners cite reductions in time spent on scheduling, inventory tracking, and customer queries. Early users report measurable gains in daily throughput after initial setup. The Economist podcast examines how these tools reduce costs for owners without large IT teams. Business groups note improved efficiency in scheduling and customer service. Some owners report that initial setup still requires time and training. The pattern of uptake is consistent across the reporting. Regional differences reflect access to broadband and availability of training resources. Now, some progress worth knowing about. Pass rates for Scottish national exams increased compared with the prior year. Students received results showing the improvement across several subjects. Education authorities released the figures as part of the annual results process. The gains were recorded in both national qualifications and higher-level papers. Schools distributed individual certificates on the scheduled date. BBC reporting notes the higher attainment levels. Scottish government statements link the outcome to targeted support programs introduced after earlier disruptions. Teachers' organizations have welcomed the data while calling for sustained resources. The rise itself is the recorded change. Subject-level breakdowns show the largest increases in sciences and languages. Now, to really understand this story, there's something most coverage leaves out. Most coverage of heatwave blackouts focuses on whether enough electricity is generated, yet the more common pressure point is the speed at which demand rises and how transmission lines move that power. When temperatures climb, air conditioning units across cities switch on within the same few hours, creating a steep ramp rather than a steady increase. Grid operators respond by calling on fast start plants, importing power from neighboring regions, or asking large users to reduce consumption temporarily. The last 3 major heat events in different countries show that grids with strong regional interconnections and real-time demand response programs experience fewer forced outages than those relying mainly on local generation. Operators also monitor voltage stability along long-distance lines, because a sudden concentration of load in one area can create bottlenecks even when total generation capacity appears sufficient. Knowing this, when reports mention record load, readers can check whether the story also describes transmission limits or demand management tools, rather than assuming the problem is simply a shortage of power plants. Historical records from the past decade indicate that grids investing in automated switching and cross-border trading agreements have shortened the duration of peak-related alerts. Next time coverage mentions grid strain, look for data on how quickly demand changed hour by hour and whether imports or curtailments were used to balance the system. If you want to go deeper on the China grid story, compare how Reuters and Chinese state media are covering it. Tomorrow, watch for updates on whether partial power service in Havana neighborhoods expands or stalls. That's Omni view. The news can feel heavy, but understanding what's actually happening and what's being done about it beats doom scrolling every time. Stay curious. Pick one story from today and read it from a second outlet you don't usually open. If balanced perspectives are valuable to you, share this with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NARA Network. Links in the show notes. Quick tip from the network, try the Do Positive pod next. Good news in science and tech, plus one concrete action you can take. Every NARA Network show is free at naranetwork.com, and on the website, every episode's visuals live in our free image gallery at naranetwork.com's gallery. Royalty-free under Creative Commons, download with attribution. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.